system, we have lots of inefficiencies. I've listed production, transmission, use of energy, and extravagant and unnecessary consumption. Cheap energy is a myth. We stay as business as usual. We have increasing emissions and therefore increasing global temperatures. If we cut emissions, the 2% solution is what the Sierra Club talks about. Using wind and solar, both concentrating solar and solar PV, as well as geothermal and biomass and biofuels, we can cut down instead of increasing. Efficiency is the biggest and most easily accessible answer.
Ways the city could play an active role in increasing solar in the city, primarily residential, and we're looking to hopefully expand that. So the city would provide the property owner with a loan. In exchange, the property owner agrees to repay that loan through their property tax bill. So it's a voluntary special assessment that jumps the hurdle of the upfront costs for renewable energy. It gives power to the local government to take responsibility for the energy that's being used in their community. So it ties the system to the house. Kind of a setup, the system stays with the home, and the payments stay with the home as well. So they stay with that address, with that property tax bill. Big questions to answer, and we're working with people to try to answer these questions. The program design, who is eligible? Do we expand it to businesses, nonprofits? Do we start with just residents? What do we do with landlords on the loan terms? And we really won't know that until we have an idea of what financing we'll have, which is the big thing. How are we going to finance this? We're hoping that we'll receive grant money, or at least something similar to a grant. There are grants that you actually have to pay back at some point. That would be a possibility to fund this. Say that this is one option we're bringing forward. If you're a homeowner and you want to do solar and you can finance it, I would say do it now. This is going to be a great program, but if you can finance it, there's no reason not to go ahead and get moving on it. But this will provide financing for those that won't have financing otherwise, or that may not want to invest that in their current home.
But what I'm going to talk about today is natural gas aggregation. So what is aggregation? In Ohio, local communities are allowed by law to join citizens together to buy natural gas as a group. Recently, the Athens City Council has passed an ordinance to create an opt-out aggregation program. So what is opt-out aggregation? Opt-out aggregation automatically includes all eligible consumers located in the community except consumers who do not want to participate in the program or who do not qualify. So what's the next step now that we have an ordinance? If a community chooses to do opt-out aggregation, they must put it on the ballot. So you're going to see it on the ballot, was it the first Tuesday in November. So you have the chance to vote either for or against opt-out aggregation. So you have the chance to vote either for or against opt-out aggregation. And if it passes, at that point, the city of Athens will come up with a plan on how to develop and address the aggregation program and how it will work and how the local government will oversee the process. They are required to have 2 local public hearings, and that's a good time for consumers to come out and obtain additional information, express their concerns about the program, and have their questions answered. Shopping around and negotiating with the different natural gas suppliers. And at that point, if they find a natural gas supplier and they're comfortable with the rate from one of these natural gas suppliers, at that point, that natural gas supplier will send out a notice with that rate, whether it's variable or fixed, and the terms and conditions of the contract. At that point, as a consumer, you will need to decide if you want to be part of the program. That letter will also include information how to withdraw if you don't want to be part of the program. So there is a way to opt out. That's what they call it, opt-out aggregation. If you do not respond or send in the opt-out postcard or the letter saying you don't want to be part of the program, they will automatically enroll you into the natural gas aggregation programs. There's not much work on your part if you want to be part of it. You will receive a second notification from Columbia Gas of Ohio letting you know that your service is going to be switched to this company that the city has decided to use as the natural gas for the natural gas aggregation program. So you will receive 2 notices. The city is not, if this is passed, they are not bound to find a supplier. It's not something they have to do if they're not comfortable with the rates that are being provided by these natural gas suppliers. There are some consumers who are not eligible for the program. Consumers who already participate in the choice program and have a supplier will not receive the notice because you're already with a company and more likely in a contract. And they don't. The natural gas aggregation program doesn't want you to break your contract with the other company. Also, consumers who are on the percentage of income payment plan, it's a low-income program for low-income consumers who meet certain income guidelines. They would also not be eligible for the program.
Looking at preventive maintenance, which is lubrication, making sure everything's working as efficiently as possible. Maintenance type stuff when we replace old equipment with new that's much more efficient, and anything that, lighting retrofits, which would be upgrading and be more efficient that way. The second initiative is the President's climate commitment that you heard talk about, which is talking about reducing the greenhouse gas emissions and eventually becoming climate neutral. That was just set up by the President to have the President's Advisory Council for Sustainability Planning. That group has just started meeting and is getting input from all different sides, and they'll be putting a plan together on that greenhouse gas emission plan that goes to the association. The next one is the House Bill 251, which the state required us to set a goal to reduce our intensity per gross square footage for how much energy we use on a gross square foot level.
Energy is an emerging programmatic focus for rural action, but we don't have a staff person dedicated to this like we do with watersheds and forestry and agriculture and so on and so forth. We started off with a small group of about 12 volunteers to talk a little bit about what local citizens can do to reduce our energy costs, lower our carbon footprint, and provide more sustainable options for energy utilization. And that's over the last couple of years, several programs that we're beginning to work on. The first of those that we're very close to rolling out is a park and ride system. And we've identified a series of 5 to 8 areas around the county where we'd like to establish park and ride centers. So we're very close to announcing that program, and that will be rolling out probably this fall.
Action plan that we have for energy efficiency and demand reduction, or peak demand reduction, really focuses on all customer classes, and I'm going to talk about something for residents and something for businesses. It equates to about $180 million in program costs over the next 3 years, and those are the costs that it would take to get to those 3-year targets cost effectively. And by that, there is a test that the Commission sets in place, and a test that utilities use to determine that the investments that we're making indeed have a payback above and beyond the life of the cost of the measure. All the applications and details that you would want are at gridsmartohio.com, and we are providing technical assistance to help with these applications.